I'm James. I'm here today with Paul's GK talking about mental illness in football.
How do you manage training with a mental illness?
I treat it actually mainly like a physical injury. So, for example, like a hamstring injury, I went to see the physio, you get a program or the rehab and you sort of build yourself back up, and that's similar to what I did. I spoke to some of the people in football, the lad who I do my program with, I spoke to him and we just managed it as, okay, take the time out that you need, and we broke me back in. So gym sessions, I started just going into the sauna with him about 7:10 in the morning, did 10 minutes in the sauna, then we got into pool sessions where you did lengths running in the water, built it back up into gym sessions, and then 2 weeks of that, then we started to get back onto the field and just really just went from doing nothing to something within too much of a gap or too much of a jump. So we just went little step, little step, little step, little step, and it just felt like a natural progression back into full-time training really.
And how do you make sure that you can manage that?
Personally, it's just on listening to how I'm feeling. So some days at the start I was having maybe an extra day off to what I'd normally have, or I'd take a day out of the programme. But yeah, it's just you've just got to manage how your body's feeling. Obviously, I think it was 10 weeks I was out for. So if you have 10 weeks out of anything and go back into it, it can be a struggle. So it was just about going back in gently, gently back in, sort of progressively working your way back up. And the other thing I found was the difference in how I felt. So the days where I didn't train, or I just thought, nah, not today, the way I felt for the rest of the afternoon, the evening, I felt groggy, lethargic, tired. So I felt a massive benefit on the days where I did train, and that was kind of became an encouragement really to go in and do my training sessions.
Decent. So how did it start?
It started quite drastically actually. Like, I spoke to a few people about this who've had a mental illness and said, I started to feel down or this, or felt lack of energy. Mine was the opposite, which is triggered, which again, like I spoke to a lot of people and they've said they've had a trigger. Some people lose their job, some people get divorced, some people have some sort of an injury, so they're off work, or and that was sort of mine. I went from flying, training 2-3 times a day. Girlfriend left me, and that's what really triggered mine at the start of March. So she left, and then it was a pretty drastic snowball effect from then on.
And what advice would you give to anyone going through this?
Advice. First thing I'd always say to people is don't be embarrassed, don't be ashamed. Like, it's an illness. Go and speak to a doctor or a professional. That's the first thing I say to do. Find people that you trust. So, if it's your mum, your dad, brother, sister, auntie, uncle, cousin, mates, whoever, find people who you can be honest with and say, this is where I'm at, this is how I'm feeling. But yeah, I think what's really important is find some, like a doctor, listen to what they say, because they'll usually, I'm not speaking as a doctor, but in my experience, my doctor passed me on to someone else and then they dealt with me. And then obviously in terms of football, there's a lot of support around that in football, which people involved in football can access as well.
No, good. And does the training or the help and support you receive help?
Yeah, so in terms of training, it does help. Firstly, not to go into the scientific side because I don't understand it enough, but there's endorphins that are released around your body through training, which are obviously really positive. Being amongst the lads is obviously really good because obviously being a part of that banter's good, and just it's good to have a laugh with them and be around them. So yeah, that helps a lot, and it's a good release. Even let's be honest, we all moan about box to boxes, but sometimes in times like this, I do enjoy them. In terms of support I've had, it's been good. Obviously, not everyone's not everyone likes the idea, or not everyone's accepting of mental illness, and there's a few dinosaurs around, but that's with anything. You're always going to have them in any walk of life on certain subjects. But yeah, I've had some great support from friends, teammates, ex-teammates, friends, family, and even people who I've never met or have met once at an event have popped up, and they've said, "Oh, like I've heard you're going through this. Like, what? Anything I can do to help?" Old coaches who I know who I haven't worked with at clubs have dropped me messages to ask how I'm getting on. So that's been really good.
People talk about being drained and lacking motivation to train, and even not wanting to leave the house. You know, how did you find this? Was that for you? Was yours different?
No, that's I can relate to a lot of that. Drain's a massive one. It's frightening really how much the mind controls you, or how powerful the mind is. I was getting up later than I normally get up, feeling more tired. In terms of leaving the house, yeah, massive. Like I was two extremes though. In some ways, some days I'd get up and think I literally wouldn't have the energy to get out of bed. Other days I'd want to be out the house for as much as I could. So there's a Costa Coffee down the road from me, which I think I might as well have paid rent in at one point. I used to go there, spend 3 hours there. That was the maximum you could have in the car park. I just sit there with my headphones on, watching some sort of comedy, and then I used to go to my auntie's house, which is about 30 minutes away from where I live. Sit there with my cousins and just watch TV, watch a bit of Sky Sports News and Friends and things like that. So yeah, I can see both sides. So yeah, in terms of drains and the lack of motivation to train was a massive one, because as much as you know, I should go and train, I should do this, I should do that, it's almost like you physically don't feel capable of doing it. And yeah, I can completely understand people that feel like that.
And what was your lowest point?
Lowest point. There's a couple. I had to be picked up from a service station at one point, because I couldn't drive. I was driving back from Leicester, and before you get onto the main motorway, there's that, well, it might be like a little motorway, that from Leicester Forest East services. I ended up pulling over there physically, like shaking, like I couldn't drive. I thought it's unsafe. So I remember pulling over there and ringing one of the coaches at Birmingham and saying, "Mate, I can't." Actually, no, I think I rang one of the boys, and he rang the coach at Birmingham, who rang me and said, "Globes, what are you doing?" I was like, "Mate, I can't drive." I said, "I'm at Leicester Forest East service station." Like, and everything at that point was major. Like, I remember crying because I was panicked, I was stressed, there was nothing comfort. I said, "There's not even a Costa Rica to Starbucks," and I laugh now, because at that point that was huge. That was a real, like, even that was massive to me. And he said, "Okay," he goes, "Stay there." So he made a few calls. He rang my dad. My dad had to ring my mate. It all got like, it was like a mousetrap where something happens, snuck something else. It was like that. So yeah, my dad came with my mate in his van, picked me up. Dad had to drive my car back. I got in the car with my mate. He had a chat to me, drove me back, and went back from there. So that was a low point. Other lowest point would have been about a week later. I was in Costa again. Regular theme, that is. Rock bottom. So we had the boys on the group chat. They'd sent me numbers to ring, or there's one called Calm, who are open 5 till midnight. Sent me that number, and literally I was at panic stations, and there was a manager who came. The manager of Costa pulled up next to me, and they sat with me and they said, like, "You alright?" I was, asked me what was going on. And I sat in the car with them for about, I couldn't say how long. Like, I had no concept of time at this point. But I just broke down. So everything came out. I thought, poor kid's got to make me coffee tomorrow. But yeah, that was probably the lowest. But they were brilliant. You know, I actually spoke to the head office of Costa about it, because they're absolutely outstanding. You know, the support they gave me, and the manager there calmed me down massively. to a point where I was able to go back home and I chatted to my mum for a bit. So yeah, obviously I won't go into too much detail about that day and what went on and what my thoughts were, but yeah, that was probably the lowest.
And just moving on from that, you've been working with a sports psychologist. How's that helped?
He's brilliant. So he's someone I've known for a while actually. Obviously sports psychology is quite new in terms of all the things available in sport. Like sports psychology, I've only really used it the last sort of few years. So I came back from injury and I spoke to one then, purely because I think I got injured and I was at this level, and I thought I'll come back from injury and I'll still be here. And I came back from injury and I was like, why am I not playing as well? Why is this not? And I couldn't understand why my levels weren't where they should be or where they were when I got injured. So I remember ringing him and saying, Tom, can you help me? And we did these sessions, they were brilliant. And after that I was flying. And I've done the same with him recently. I've rang him at all sorts of times and said like, I need to, like, I've been broken, and for me he's probably one of the best in the country. It's unbelievable. And one of the main things he says to me is, if we think of ourselves as an energy tank, I'm either doing something in my day that takes energy away from me, or I'm doing something that gives me energy. So that was the main thing. So I thought, in terms of giving me energy, listening to the music that I like, that inspires me, visiting the places that I love to visit, or my favourite places, spending time or speaking to the people who inspire me and uplift me. So on this I've got a mentor list if you like, and these are people on that list, about 5 people who I look at and think, yeah, they inspire me and they lift me up. So sometimes if I need an arm around the shoulder, or I feel a bit like I need lifting, or in terms of the energy tank, I'll contact them. So there's about 5 people on there, and obviously Tom's one of them. And yeah, the work I've done with him has been amazing. What's great is he doesn't just have a generic answer. He'll learn what works for you. So I'm a very visual learner. I was never great at school with teacher at the whiteboard, like, I'll read this, remember it. Like, it never worked for me. I had to sort of be involved and feel like something and visualise and see it. So he does a lot of that with me. And he did sessions with me that taught me to do things independently, in terms of be able to do the sessions independently. So I started being able to do sort of the mental imagery things on my own and feel the emotion and the positivity of that. So yeah, and that's something I try and do most days now. That's really positive for me, and that's what's working as well.
And what work have you done with any psychologist? Has it just worked with Tom, or is there other psychologists you may have seen?
Yeah, so Tom's the best one for me. A lot more work I've done has been with him, and that's around sports performance, but it's also around being a human being and sort of feeling happy in your life, obviously at the moment, which is what I'm looking to do. So that's the only psychologist I've worked with. I've had a hypnotherapist around the house. He's brilliant, and he's really he's really got into my subconscious mind and really sort of worked with the thoughts I was having recently, which has been fantastic. But in terms of, obviously, with football, I've had the support of the PFA. I had a member of their wellbeing team ringing me every day, sometimes every other day, who's spending an hour on the phone with me. A company called Football Mind. There's 3 people there who've been fantastic with me and really helped. I've had the pastor from my church come over. He's literally sat here and prayed over the house. So yeah, that's been the main ones I've used. And the other one, which is really good for anyone who is struggling, is Samaritans run a suicide prevention text number, which we'll put on the website if you can. So I've had that in my phone and I've saved it under Scooby-Doo. People say, why'd you do that? I think, well, I've texted that number, I don't know, a couple of times, and you think you're at a low point. If you need to text that number, you're struggling, and I like to have to feel something, or just someone make me laugh or give me a switch in my thoughts, and you'll text that and they'll text you back and it flashes up Scooby-Doo. and that's just a little, to me, that's just a little moment I can like try and chuckle in like the darkest of times. So yeah, they're the ones I've used mainly. Obviously there are other, everyone's different. Some people might prefer counselling, therapy, reconnective healing, support groups. You know, there's a lot of things out there, but it's about each individual and what they finds best for them, really.
And do you find mental health is being spoken about more, and what support is offered?
Yeah, it's definitely been spoken about more. There's not really a, I don't really think there's a quota and say, oh, we need to talk about it this much. I think we need to get to a point where you can talk about it, and it's not classed as it's a deep conversation or a difficult conversation. It's just a conversation. In terms of the dressing room, or in terms of guys who go to the pub on a Friday night, they'll often say, my back's killing, or my knees hurting, or it's a standard thing that the men will say and not bat an eyelid. But it's quite rare for a guy to say, actually I'm really struggling with this. So I think it's just trying to get it as a more normal thing. And I was actually speaking to Tom about this, because for example, WhatsApp group chats, which I do love a group chat. The lads are in that, but it's difficult to post something in there. Sam boys, what we're up to today, or what's anyone free after training? It's difficult to do that, and one of us to put, I'm feeling low, or I'm feeling this. So what my idea is, and this is what I encourage anyone who's in a WhatsApp group or any sort of social media group to try. I said every morning you post an emoji, or say every morning, many times a day, but mornings when people, before work or whatever, you post an emoji, and that emoji is based on how you're feeling. You're feeling happy, you put a happy face. You're feeling sad, you put a sad face. And no one has to really, it's just there to show what you're feeling that day. And what you can do from that is, if you've got little Jimmy who's posted 4 negative emojis out of 7 that week, you think, okay, little Jimmy's struggling here, we need to keep an eye on him. Or Big Dave's struggling, we need to keep an eye on. Or maybe you can just drop him a private message and go, I've seen your emojis are a bit low, like, how you feeling? It's not a thing I'm saying, lads, and that we need to get a flow chart and go, who's posted this. It's just something we can all monitor where we're at. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to push at the minute, is guys just in the group chat in the mornings, post a little emoji. It takes 5 seconds to find the emoji, and we'll just go from that. Hopefully it will break the ice a little bit in everyone's group chats. I say I'm feeling, and from that maybe can progress to a bit more of an open conversation. So that's in terms of the support that's out there. If you're involved in football, the PFA are absolutely fantastic. Football Mind, absolutely fantastic. Speak to your club, like, it's something, personally I've played for managers who I thought, I don't know if I'd have been able to have that. If I'm feeling like I am, or I have been, and I'm struggling with mental illness, there's some managers I think, I don't know how he'd take it, I don't know what I'd say to him. There's other managers I think, I could go and tell him everything, and he'd put his arm around me and have a chat and a coffee. And he'd get me the support. So it's knowing it's the manager, it's one of the coaching staff, obviously personally, obviously with a goalkeeping coach, it's always an easy one to go to, because obviously you spend a lot more time with the goalie coach compared to an outfielder with the coach. So you've got that, the dressing room, I'm not expecting you to, like, players to stand up in front of the squad and say, alright boys, I've got mental illness, I appreciate it's a difficult thing to do, but there's always lads in the dressing room who you're closest to. So obviously I found a couple of the boys who I'm closest to or closer to, and I'll chat to them. So that's really positive. And then find what's best for you, really. Obviously there's a whole heap of hypnotherapists, psychologists, counsellors, therapists, hypnotherapists, reconnective healers. There's support groups for various things. There's so much support out there, but I think because it doesn't get enough attention, and there's some great charities as well, you almost forget, or you don't know about them. So yeah, I'd say in terms of support, obviously the GPs would be a main one as well. Go to them, find the right people, and then find your own plan. similar to a physical injury. You know, if me and yourself both had the same injury, our recovery would probably look a bit different because of where we're at. Or so the same with the mental illness. Just because two people have the same illness, it's not a okay. There's your same mirroring programs. It's okay. What's going to work for you? What's going to work for you? And just going from there really. So yeah, I'd say research. Look at the support that's out there. There's a lot there. It's just about finding what's right for yourself. So yeah.
Decent. Anything else that you'd like to add in that we've not spoke about? Anything that may be beneficial to anyone that might not have any issues but might know of someone? What can they do to try and pass the message on to people?
If you know of someone, sometimes it's as simple as a message. You know, how are you? How's things? If you know someone who's struggling, or if you've got a family member who's struggling, I think what's important is you don't control the situation. I think sometimes you've got irrational or emotional thinkers, and you've got logical and rational thinkers. And sometimes, if an emotion is involved in a decision, it can blur the clarity. You know, so if you've got someone like a friend or a family member, like I say, who is struggling, don't push things too much. Don't demand answers. Don't keep pushing them. Oh, what's happening? Why are you feeling like this? Let them speak when they want to speak, but support them in terms of being patient, helping, asking if anything can help with, supporting them in getting help. So my family, for example, I had my uncle who was speaking to people saying, "Oh, my nephew's struggling with this. Is it you can help with, or what would you recommend?" My dad was doing the same. He was speaking to people he knew, and obviously I was doing the same thing. So I'd say, yeah, support them. Don't push them. Be a dad, a mom, a cousin, a brother, whatever you are to them, and just be there. I think sometimes it's not a case of I expect you to fix my mental illness. I expect you to fix it. You'll go to professionals for that. Sometimes you just want your friend to be a friend, and I'll come sit with you for a coffee. I'll come round and watch a football with you. Just them little things sometimes can go a long way. So I encourage that. But yeah, make sure you just support them in getting the help they need.